pursuing capital. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Toronto? My name is Shan, Madavan, and this is our first podcast, so we haven't really figured out the name. We're thinking, let's just say it's going to be either called Chasing Capital or Trading It Back. Trading It Back is what we decided, right? And I have a very longtime friend, a special guest who's also going to be a part of this podcast, Dalton Rismay. What's going on, Dalton? How you feeling, man?
Feeling good. Glad to be doing this podcast.
That's right, man.
Going professional style here.
Professional.
Super excited about this, and I think we have a lot of knowledge that we're going to drop on some people, and I think a lot of people are going to make a lot of money and learn a lot of stuff.
That's it, man. That's all we're trying to do. Educate, kind of spread the knowledge that we already have attained, and then from there meet other people that have knowledge that could give to us, or whatever the case may be. But it's just about manifesting everything that we have been and putting that into work, man. A big shout out to Chris behind the scenes, 1990 Studios. So if you're ever in Oshawa, Whitby, Durham, and you guys want to start your own podcast, this is the place to be, man. This is definitely a place to be.
100%.
And so Dalton, I'm just going to get to it, man. Like, our friendship has been going for like 6 years, I'd say, right? So I want to kind of take it back to how we met, right? So I even remember when I was desperately looking for a job. Obviously, it's times were hard. 2016, 2015. Was it 2015? Yeah. It was
2016.
2016,
yeah.
Right? And, I had no sales experience, but I knew that's where the money was, right? If you wanted to make money, commission, salary, right? Nothing else. And I had the grind. I had the, I feel like I had the work ethic. It's just, being an employee for a long time is something that bothered me, and that's why I had to leave. And now it's just a different type of work ethic, right? But even in that sort of situation, I had to kind of put myself in a place where I had to lie about my experiences just to get the type of job that I wanted. But once I got there, it was just a kind of opportunity for the both of us, because you were just there for 3 months at MTFX, right? So you're the person that even interviewed me, man. You're so close with the director, so it was nice. But yeah, man, 2 years later, we kind of built that relationship. We went back and forth learning what it is to be in sales. How was that experience for you, man?
So yeah, when we first started there as currency exchange brokers, it was a rude awakening to, I think, the way that the world actually works, which is there's no more, guaranteed salaries where someone's going to pay you $100,000, $200,000 a year.
Yeah,
if you want to go and you want to make those obscene amounts of money and not be in a sort of professional sort of job like a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer, if you just want to do that at a, outside of that professional sort of look, commission is going to be one of your easiest ways to actually scale up to that point, right? You have to be making something. You have to be able to have the ability to increase your income, right? Whenever you please. The harder you work, the more money you're going to be able to make. There's not a lot of places like that anymore, right? So that's why I think I started there at MTFX, and when you came through, you're right, I was very close with the directors at the company, so I was doing interviews and I was doing a lot of the daily commentary writing stuff. And when you came on, you seemed to be the type of person that had good work ethic. That's all you're really looking for when you're interviewing for someone to do primarily cold calls, right? Experience doesn't matter. It's the work ethic. It's the integrity of the individual, and you had a lot of that. And I think when you came in, it was sort of a relationship where, hey, I can teach you the really, really good soft skills, the really, really good communication skills, how to put out fires. Even on this podcast, you can tell my voice is a whole lot softer. So I could teach you the soft skills. I think you taught me how to close, which is that just another level of aggression. After you use the soft skills to lure them in, you kind of need that final closing. And I think I learned that from you. So it was a pretty good relationship with us going back, and I think that's why we became so close, end up doing a lot of other things.
Exactly. And like you said, man, it's very tough to be put in a position right now where you're able to make $150,000, $200,000 in sales. They've capped back the commissions. They've capped back opportunities for a lot of people in sales, software especially, right? So I feel we were at the very end of an opportunity, and we took advantage of that opportunity, and we left at the right time too. And we both, I feel, being in that sort of environment, nurtured a business mindset. And I know my reasons why, but what are your reasons?
Yeah, when I left in early 2018. So just before I had left, I had traveled. I did some pretty good traveling.
Okay. Yeah.
6 months before I left, I traveled, did some traveling Western Canada. So I went to Calgary. I saw all of the mountains, all of Banff, Canmore, all that good stuff. And then I flew way up north. And everybody always asks me, why the hell did you go to Whitehorse? What is there out in the Yukon that you could possibly see? Well, I happened to go second week of May, so very, very close to the summer solstice. And so the sun was pretty much always in the sky. So it didn't matter what time of day it was, the sun would still be in the sky. It would just, kind of vary from just above the horizon to peak sky. So there was no nighttime. Yeah. So it was very, very fun. And I really wanted to see that. I've heard a lot about, going up north and the sun not going down. So I really wanted to see that. And it gave me a whole new perspective. And when we worked as currency exchange brokers, of course, this is a cold calling job. So you're cold calling other businesses, and primarily the people who have the decisions to engage with a currency exchange broker at that business are the business owners. So we are working with business owners all day, every day, speaking to, tens, hundreds of business owners every single day. When you speak to that many business owners every day, and you don't become a business owner within 1 or 2 or 2 years, something's wrong, right?
Absolutely.
So that was kind of my motivation as I gained a new perspective through travel and just speaking with business owners all day, every day, and learning from them and learning how their experiences were. It gave me confidence to start my own. And so when I had left in 2018, I started a crypto investment business. And from there, I transitioned out of a crypto investing business and I started a investment management business.
Okay.
And now we do investment management, stock signals, and I also write a blog.
Okay. And what's the name of the company, man?
Banting Court Capital Management. You can see it here right on the hat. Banting Court.
You guys see that, right?
One of the best, and not one of the best, the best stock signal around, done by an actual real advisor, not any of these guys with fake trading forex accounts. Man's are licensed, so.
Banting Court Capital Management.
That's how we're doing it.
That's it, man. And I'm proud of you, man. I got to tell you that much. I have a feeling that, we both have the same sort of instincts when we were conversing with a lot of these clients. For me, it got to a point, because you remember how the whole entire office was. It was, I want to say it was as big as this room, and there were 10 people?
Yeah.
Like 10 to 15 people that were working, and it was so hard to talk to some of these business owners and ask them those questions that you'd want to, because you have that curiosity. And it's like, man, is my director listening in onto that call? And as soon as you made it out, man, I know it was difficult. I remember going back and forth. You had a partner at first. You had 2 other partners with Banting Court, and it wasn't even called Banting Court.
It wasn't Banting Court
right?
at the time. I incorporated a whole new company to get away from those
because of
people,
that. And we understand how important partnerships are, but I feel like at the very beginning, you also experienced how detrimental the wrong partnerships could be, right? So what was that experience like? What helped you figure out what it was that you weren't paying attention to when finding a partner?
So one of the things I think that I didn't pay enough attention to at the beginning was I needed people who understood what the goal was.
Facts.
And I needed people to buy in. And I think that the partners that I originally had, there was not a lot of buy-in. There were a lot of people hanging out on the fence. Well, I can do this, but only if it doesn't conflict with my job. Or I can do this, but I don't really want to take it to this point. And there wasn't really a lot of buy-in. And in order to get that buy-in, let's be honest, you have to do it by yourself. Nobody has the type of vision that you have. Say God puts a vision in my head. I'm the only person that can see that vision. I can tell that to a million people. They're not going to get it. They're going to think it's ridiculous. But that vision's in my head, so it's my job to act that out. I can't force anybody to see what I can see.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's the main thing is if you're looking for partners, there has to be a lot of buy-in. And if you can't find anyone to buy in, you got to go off and you got to do it yourself. And I think we've been able to start so many businesses together because I just give you a call and say, I want to do this. And you're like, no problem. Let's do it. We start tomorrow. Here's what we're going to do. Back and forth. You call me with something. We got to start this. Done. Let's do it. Exactly. We start tomorrow. So again, it's that buy-in. If you don't have that buy-in, you end up wasting a lot of time, and time is very important, and you know a lot about that.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, even for me, when I left MTFX, you had left 2018, I left 2020 of March. So it was a tough decision for me because I was sort of in a position where it was conflict of interest working there. I was starting pretty much the same company that I was already, working for, and I wanted to just do it on my own. And the reason why was, when you're in a company for over 4 years and you start to, like you said, cold call, right? You know how long it takes to cold call, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and you're making 100, 125 calls. It's very effective, right? If you do it the right way, you're getting 8 to 10 leads, right? Even for this podcast, if we wanted to get Chris more clients, we're literally making 100 calls and saying, hey, you guys are thinking of expanding your business, start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just like that. And then you're realizing that 25% is coming to you, 75% is going to somebody else, right? And as grateful I will be for the rest of my life for, landing into people like that, where they taught me how to do what it is that I had to do to survive in the real world. I'm like, man, I can also do this myself. Like you said, you'd have to be fucking stupid, bro, not to talk to these business owners and say, what am I doing? Why am I an employee? Why am I still trading time for money? Right? We're still doing that, but the fact that we're compounding it to our own business, that time for money is going to be multiplied by 100, depending on how hard we work, right? So I said, fuck it. Let me start the same exact business. It was NOVAFX. So what we do is we, work with businesses, Canadian businesses that require foreign exchange for whatever purpose. So if you're a Canadian business that is a wholesaler, if you're producing plastic, there is probably material or supplies that you're getting from outside of the country. Therefore, you'll require that exchange and that payment overseas, right? MTFX was the same exact business, and I figured, okay, let's go ahead and do that myself, where I can sort of leverage it into my own company and also make that transition. So now I'm actually keeping the 75% and I'm giving away 25% to another company that's giving me the partnership. And in the long term, it's going to make more sense to me, man. It might not make sense for the first year where it was like, man, I left a $200,000 salary, but even though I'm still not there yet, in 2 to 3 years, it might be 2 million, depending on my work ethic, right? So,
exactly.
And I feel like you made the same decision. It's a completely different field, and we were both kind of going back and forth. You were starting your company, I was starting mine, and it's like, it was you that had that idea once, and you're like, what the hell are we doing, man? Let's do a few together. And then from there, we started over 3 companies in less than a year, right? Yep. So, putting our companies together is more than 6 in a year, right? So it's, man, I feel like that's some effort, man.
It is 100%. And exactly like you said, is when you start your own business, you cut your own checks. Mm-hmm. But exactly. At the beginning,
it's the best way to do it. At
the beginning, you're gonna eat a lot of crap. Yeah. You're gonna eat a lot of crap, and I think everybody has this idea, I'm gonna start a business, and it's gonna be a multi-million-dollar idea within the first six weeks, and if it's not, I'll just quit and do something else. No, you're not gonna do fuck all in the first six weeks. You'd be lucky to do something in the first 6 months. But if you stick with it for 1 year, for 2 years, you will start to generate traction, and people around you who know you will see that you've been doing this for a long time, longer than they've been at their own jobs, longer than they have committed to doing something on their own. Exactly. And that's when the wheels really start to turn. And another thing, when you're in a particular business, whether it's something new or it's something you've been doing before, the longer that you're in that business and you're doing things for yourself, the more you're going to figure out. There's a lot of stuff that I know now for Banting Court that I did not know this time last year. Mm-hmm. Business started officially accepting clients for Banting Court last year in April of 2020. And the amount of things that I knew back then compared to what I know now was very limited. And now that I've been doing this for so long and I've been engaging and networking in this space and learning through doing, now I know a whole lot more. Exactly. And now money is rolling in, not just monthly, but now weekly.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So the longer that you're able to do something, the more that you're going to learn. And that's why a lot of people, if you're going to start a business, that's great. Go for it. You're going to get your teeth kicked in that first year.
Facts.
But stick with it and you'll figure out how to do things. People will say, "Oh, I don't know how to do that, so I don't want to get into that business," or "I don't know how to do this, so I don't want to do this over here." Doesn't matter. Get into it. Start. You will learn and pick up things along the way. You will build those partnerships along the way. No one knows how to do everything right out of the box. Like, I think millennials, we need to get that mentality out of our mind. Like, just put your feet down, start walking. That is the most important thing.
Exactly. And you're right, man, because it's like the 18-month is huge. A lot of these businesses, like you say, it's a consensus where 90% of the businesses fail within the first 18 months. And it's exactly because of what you said. And for millennials, that's a whole different conversation, man. Like, work ethic, it's just like everything is expected. So it's very hard for people to just be like, okay, I'm going to work for this. And in 2 years, if I compound my work, just like how you're compounding money, or if you're working out every day, what happens in 6 months? That type of compounded work needs to be focused on more. And I feel like that's what is getting you to the point that you are. Like, a year ago, you didn't decide to say, okay, fuck it. Nothing's happened. I'm just going to go ahead and start something else. You're like, okay, if I've made X amount of mistakes, I'm going to do it differently and see how it works. And if, whether it's marketing for you, like last year, the way that you were marketing comparing to the way that you're marketing this year, some of the shit I hear and like the numbers that you show me is ridiculous, right? So like, the beautiful thing about it is a year from now, because you're not like, oh, I've got it all figured out. You're still like, I've got a portion of it figured out, but I know that there's a higher ceiling that I could reach, right? And I feel like the year after is just going to be even bigger, right? And who knows where we're going to be in 10 years. And that's like compounding that type of work that you're doing right now, that we're doing together, is where, 10 years we're going to be in a yacht, like whether it's with,
that's exactly it.
Like
that's
whatever it is, maybe invite Chris, But all right, man, I just want to get back. I feel like Banting Court Capital should be a very important topic today, because a lot of people are looking to, put their money, invest their money, and understand that it's not only time that you're able to trade for money, but if you're, anybody that has no skill or has little skill, that's the only way that they're able to make money in this society, right?
Right.
Whether you're working for McDonald's or you're working for a corporate or a bank, you're trading your time for money. What you're doing is you're taking that money and you're investing it in more money, buying small businesses through stock, and you're allowing these people to then trade, to then have their money invested so that their money is making them money, so that they can kind of limit that time and have more financial freedom.
Absolutely.
Right? So how is it that you're introducing some of these products that you're selling with Banting Court, and how is that going to benefit the people that you're talking to in terms of investment and in terms of, a 5-10 year plan?
Right. So I'm
getting a call, sorry guys.
When I first started Banting Court, we had one revenue stream. We were working with, particularly, these were older people who had developed established portfolios. We're talking millions of dollars, $500,000 and up. I have some people whose portfolios I have designed those portfolios for these guys, and their portfolios are in, several millions of dollars. I think my smallest guy was 300,000. So these are people with huge portfolios. And I wanted it that way because people with money are people who are looking to make significantly more money, and they have a portion that they can speculate with. And they're always looking for alternative ways to make money, which is why they have so much money in the first place. So my pricing when I first started for single a single year of portfolio design. So whatever portfolio I build for you, you can obviously keep it longer than the term. I'm just not going to manage it actively past that term. So that 1 year fee was $1,000, and when I first started, and then if you want to subscribe for 3 years, it was $2,500. So you got a little bit of a discount, a 16% discount. So it was only one revenue stream, and I was tending to work with people who are a lot older than myself, over double my age, right?
Okay.
So, and I'm 29, just for the podcast, to give people an idea of how old people were that I was working with. It was 56
Ladies.
and above.
Ladies 29 and
There you go.
Single, or can I put that on there?
Not quite. But that's where I started. And I had to build the business off of the back of people that had money, because millennials didn't have the capital requirements to fund a $1,000 per year fee. Millennials are looking to pay little amounts, $10 to $20 per month for any sort of investment management or stock signals type of things that I didn't do at this time last year. So now coming to, it is July of this year. Now we have 3 revenue sources. So now it's not only just me building portfolios for people with huge amounts of money. Now the blog is also monetized. The blog makes me money every month. And we also added the stock signals that was aimed specifically at millennials. So the good thing about, there's no good thing about the pandemic, but with the pandemic, it forced everybody to stay at home. Everybody received stimulus checks. And what people did with those stimulus checks is they went straight to the stock market. And so now, at this point in time, there are more retail investors in the stock market than any other point in history.
Thanks.
So much so that if you look at a stock like AMC, that I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, retail investors own 80% of that stock.
Yep.
Supposedly own 80% of that stock. Institutions own 20%.
That was the same stock that went from, was it $5?
$5 up to 72 at the peak.
$72.
Yeah.
And GameStop was the same stock that went from 5 to 500, was it?
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
Retail investors kind of just all piled into these what they're calling now meme stocks. So this presented an opportunity for me to finally announce a product or service that was geared towards retail investors, which are typically millennials, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking people between 18 and 30. And so I developed the stock signal program. I developed this stock signal overseas through a company called Upwork. And that's also a great stock to take a look at. Developed it there. And now I offer that trading algorithm. I offer those stock signals via email for $12 a month. Now, it's no longer $1,000 per year. It's only going to cost you $144 a year, Canadian.
Okay.
So, with that being said, this is a lot more affordable for millennials, and that revenue stream is now starting to gain traction. And that's kind of the thing is it's kind of just growing revenue streams. So, like I said, I didn't even know that I was going to be doing stock signals. I didn't even know that the blog was going to be monetized this time last year. All I knew was that I could make people with a lot of money even more money. And just from being in that business, now I have 2 other revenue streams out of nowhere, right? Just from being in it. But it took me a year to figure that out. And so what am I going to figure out in the next year, over the next 2 years, right?
Exactly.
So it's all about building revenue streams and finding ways to actually help people. I think people kind of started.
That's a very important one.
People start a business and they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to charge people through the nose and make a whole bunch of money." Yeah, but are you solving any problems, right? I always think about it. The blog is always going to be free because it's a huge resource. I have over 100 articles on there, over 110,000 views in the last year. A lot of people are viewing my blog and saying, "Hey, this is great information," and they're resharing it around. So I always wanted that to be free. There's a lot of people out there charging for premium blog content. I don't understand that. Why don't you just run ads on there and charge the people that view or click on the ads?
Exactly.
The blog itself should be free. Like, you have to think about how am I helping people? Like, how can I earn money? But first off, how can I help people?
Exactly.
And that blog had 80,000 views before I even decided to monetize it of any sort.
And it's like, from just listening to your train of thought here, you originally started to approach the wealthier clients so that you can manage bigger accounts. But what you started to do is you started to give that same information that you were utilizing for these wealthier clients in your blog posts. And then you also created a trading signal where those same signals that you were identifying with your wealthier clients and you were making those positions for them, you were giving it out for $14.99 for millennials that couldn't afford to use your services full time.
Slightly different with that. The signals work more on a short-term basis.
I see.
And it's geared more for millennials because millennials don't like long-term investing. They want
Facts.
to get rich quick.
It's true.
And they're in and out of
It's
trades.
true.
So
It's
that's
like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, how much should I make?
Exactly.
And for some of these wealthier, for some of these wealthier accounts, what you're doing is you're doing a bit of both.
Generational wealth.
Generational
Yeah.
wealth. And then are you also doing the, shorter trades?
No.
Okay, so everything is a long term where it's either 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or if something horrible happens, right?
Exactly.
If you hear something happen on Yahoo News where the CEO gets caught with marijuana, for instance, it's a bad sign for you and you're getting out, right?
In that case, we would move. We would move out. Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing it a little differently where you're also identifying stocks that might gain traction within the next, or today, where you're actually advising them to buy. And then in the next 3-4 months, you anticipate because of variables XYZ, something to happen and increase that stock by 10, 15, 20, 30%.
Exactly that, except we're doing it even faster.
Okay.
Our signals gear up between a couple days and a couple weeks.
Wow.
So I'll give you an example. We caught Carnival Cruises for a sell signal.
Okay.
We got in with a put option, emailed this out to all of our paid subscribers, made over 100% in less than a week.
Wow.
On that put option.
Okay.
Over 100%. We had a sell signal go out on AMC on July 8th. By yesterday, AMC stock itself had fallen 29%. Associated put options were up over 300%.
Okay, so these are some big numbers.
These are signals that we are emailing out. Another thing that's important with the signals that I email out, which is not the case for a lot of these other guys out here, our signals that we email out, you're going to get 1 to 2 of them per week, and that is not a lot. People are giving signals out every day. There's not that many good trading opportunities. We're going to do 1 to 2 per week.
Okay.
But the reason why is because those are the ones that I'm trading. Okay. I only email out what I'm trading. Yeah. Why the hell would I be emailing out something to somebody if I'm not trading it myself?
Absolutely.
That's just sinister. So I only email out what I trade, and I only trade the best opportunities, which is why they're few and far in between. Like I said, you're going to get 4 to 8 signals per month for this $12 Canadian a month subscription. Okay. But they're all going to be fire. They're going to land and they're going to hit. And if you follow exactly what's in the email, you're going to make a lot of money.
And how does a millennial or anybody that's actually using this? We're talking about millennials because we're on the same age and we see that type of behavior. I see people that would rather get a paycheck and spend it within the next 15 minutes on things they're never going to use in the next 4 months, bro.
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing because they've already talked about our previous generation and how worried they are as far as like getting to an age 60, 65 and not really being able to retire. How do you think we're going to do? Like, I've yet to meet someone that's in my age, and it's so sad that I'm saying this, but I've yet to meet people. Like, I've met people, but I had to go out of my way, and it's because of the businesses that I'm doing where it's like, okay, I'm able to meet someone like yourself that's investing in stocks and real estate and crypto, whatever the case may be, to elevate yourself financially. But I've yet to meet people that are really doing this consistently and are actually devoting their life and saying, this is what's going to actually carry me for the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? And yeah, it's very disturbing. And I feel like what you're doing is something that needs to be, I feel like, pushed even harder because, some of these returns could really
change people's lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. And I feel like where does somebody get access to all of this? Is it just off of an app or?
It's on my website. So bantingcourtcapital.com. Okay. If you go to the subscriptions portion of the website, it'll take you there. It'll talk to you about the 3 services that are there. So I still got the 1-year portfolio management. I've recently reduced pricing from $1,000 to $700 on that.
Okay.
And the 3-year program has been reduced from $2,500 as well to a certain point as well. Okay. those are cheaper. But the one thing that's important for millennials is still the stock signals. And so you could read about what the signals are going to be able to do for you, and you could subscribe there. And once you subscribe, these signals get shot out via email.
So let me just get this straight. So a millennial is introduced to your product,
right?
And then subscribes for $12.99. Is it?
$12 flat.
$12 flat monthly fee. Is it cancel at any time, or do they have to commit to
cancel it
a 12 month? Okay, so he's using it for the first month, $12, and obviously, if you're a millennial and you're looking to actually buy these stocks, you'd have to use a company like Questrade or any other stock platform, and then from there they'd have to put their own money in there, and all they're doing is following your buy and sell signal.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we're even talking about this, and like even for the past 2 to 3 months, you're telling me there's been returns of 100% in less than a week, 20% in less than 2 to 3 days. So like, what is the risk for a millennial at this point?
Your risk is $12 a month.
That's it.
That's your risk. And the thing with these stock signals are, so here's the thing. A lot of people, again, my competitors who aren't licensed to be doing this stuff, for one, and also have no experience. I have a decade of experience in financial markets. I've worked as a financial advisor, an investment advisor, a currency broker. I've been all over the space. I've sold everything in this industry in financial services except for mortgages, right? So with that being said, one of the things that's important is I tell you when to buy and when to sell. Everybody knows when to buy. Nobody knows when to sell. Very few people know when to sell. A lot of people
take profit.
Yeah, bought AMC at $5, didn't sell it at 72. Guess what? It's sitting at 33 now. You've just coughed up over half of all those 100%. Gains. You got to know when to get in and when to get out. And a lot of people know when to buy and they get stuck holding. They get stuck holding. And you need to know when to sell. So that's what I wanted to think. That's what I thought was really important, and I included that in the email. So I got the buy point, the sell point where you're going to take profit, and also should that particular position trade sideways, because we're trading options, they have a time value portion. The longer you wait, the lower the value of that option. I tell you when to get out. So if there's 3 days of no movement, or movement within, say, a 2% fluctuation, I tell you to sell out. So I cover all your bases. Okay. Here's what to do when you make money. Here's what to do if you don't make money. And it's all packaged up so that you have the best chance of winning on a trade. And whatever I put in that email, that's not just stuff that I'm telling you. This is stuff that I'm doing myself. This is how I'm trading that.
Exactly. Which goes to show.
I wouldn't tell anybody to trade something that I'm not going to trade myself. That's so important in this industry, and not a lot of people are actually doing it like that. People are just emailing garbage signals, and they're just collecting the monthly payments from their subscribers, and they're not trading a damn thing. They don't even trade. They're not even real traders. Okay. I'm a real trader, and I only trade what I send out. And what's written in that email is exactly how I'm going to play it. Okay.
Yeah, man, like Banting Court, I know that once you started Banting Court Capital, you were an operator. You were an entrepreneur, but then you put yourself into a position where you had to become the operator as well. Not only the business owner, but someone that's seeing the day-to-day. Yep. And only because it was your first business, you had to figure out what was required in order for you to expand. And once you did, whether you're going to get employees or not, how you're going to delegate that, right? What was it, or what point of time did you realize, why am I just doing Banting Court Capital Management? Why don't I start expanding into, and should we just openly talk about it? What made you open your head into natural cream? Right? Improve naturals. And then from that interest coming to me and saying, hey man, like there are a lot of things that I'm already talking to you about. Cause I remember you'd come to me and like, I need a logo. And I'm like, man, Fiverr. Done. Right? Yeah. Done. And you're like, how did you get this so fast? It's like 10 minutes. And I'm like, I was that person that always goes and tries to, even if I didn't know something, I'd be like, we'll figure it out. Right. And at what point were you like, you want to do skincare, and like it's a female category, first of all, we know nothing about it, right? But you're like, I'm confident that we're going to be successful at this. What was that instinct for you when it clicked and you're like, this is it?
So to be honest, I'm going to try to brave the lights here. So to be honest, everything I do, all the businesses that I run one of them myself, and we co-own 2 of them. Everything comes from the perspective of, I want to actually be able to help somebody. Somehow I want to either physically or mentally, right? I have to be saving you money. If I'm going to do something, I have to be making you money. For the natural skincare, I have to be giving your skin something that it actually needs and removing all the harmful chemicals from actual skincare. There's a lot of skincare options right now, and my girlfriend is pretty much has extremely sensitive skin, so she has to be very careful about what she puts on her skin. And she's always buying all these products, and it's like $30 here, $100 here, $50 here, $70 here. I'm like, you're spending way too much money on all these, creams that, have all these chemicals in there. I was like, I looked at some of the back of the stuff. I'm like, what the hell? Propylene glycol, methanoate? What the hell is this, man? Like, you don't know what's in it, and you don't know the effects it's going to have on your skin. So I think when I came up with the idea for a natural skincare company, we had to come with it from, it had to be affordable. So we don't want to be breaking anybody's bank. Like, people are buying like $100 skin creams, and it comes in a pack like that. That's ridiculous. Like, you're just getting fleeced at this point. Someone's taking advantage of you.
Absolutely, man.
Right? So we had to come in at an effective price point, and we did. We came in lower than everybody else in the market, everybody at Sephora, everybody at Shoppers Drug Mart, and we also made it all natural, which is a very big growing market right now, and it's being served by 1 or 2 big players. Not everybody has actually reached there yet. So, and with ingredients on it that you can pronounce, like, you look at the back and you say, I know what that is. All right, I heard about that. I knew that was good for your skin. I just never thought about actually trying it. Yeah, well, we made a really good cream, and it looks and feels like all the stuff that's in Sephora, but it's all natural. So yeah, I felt like we did a good job. We did a good job with pricing, and we did a good job with, providing something that actually works and actually will do what we say it's going to do.
Exactly. And I remember when you came to me, we had, you started to, obviously make these creams in your kitchen, right?
Yep.
Our laboratory.
Absolutely.
Where we started up, and you went to Dollarama, you bought a little jar, a little cream jar, and you're like, hey man, try this. This is my first product. It was vanilla extract. I loved it. Tried it, put it in my skin. And from then on, I'm like, okay, we have something here. And from, we had a back and forth conversation. You're like, Shan, this is what I'm capable of doing. This is what I'd like to do, and I can execute as far as this. And I said, no problem, because everything that you want me to execute is what I'm good at anyway, right? And that's where I started to figure out, okay, if you want to partner with someone, especially in a business, and you want it to succeed, and like you said, like, where you're able to do 70% of the work, and the guy that you expect to do 30% of, whatever it is that he's given as a task, and he's only doing 15%, that's slowing you down, that's slowing the company down, right? And for us, it was always, whether it was, you never really cared whether you were going to take 60% of the load and I'm doing 40%. All you cared about is he going to go ahead and do it at the time that he said he was going to get it done? And I remember from then and there, you had come up with the name, Improved Naturals. So the company name was already there.
Yep.
The first cream is called Strut the Butt Cream. So that was there, right? We've got our second line that's also being released, Established Cream. And all that needed was the logo, which is very easy, right? So if you're a business owner in general, and if you're looking to get a logo done, like, my friend Chris here suggested, you can either find a talented designer through a friend, or you can go online for a website, for any websites, like either Fiverr, Upwork.com. You're going to find hundreds of designers, right? And from there, you're able to literally interview people and see who's actually talented enough to do what it is that you're required to do, right? And from there, you're building relationships. It doesn't have to be your next door neighbor. You can find these designers in India, in Bangladesh, in Pakistan. They're hiding everywhere, right? And with the internet, you can do anything, anywhere, with access to literally the entire world. And then from there,
that's a really good point there, and I just want to harp on that a little bit. everybody from the power of their cell phone has the best access to the best developers in the world and the best manufacturing and textile houses in the world. Everybody from their own cell phone. We all have it in the palm of our hand. We can access any manufacturing outlet in the world. Not any, but most manufacturing outlets in the world. Access to any textiles that you want. Access to just about anything. Any services, any web developers, any app developers. It's all here. Get on Upwork, get on Alibaba, and tell me you don't make money.
There's no excuses, man.
There's no excuses. No.
There's no excuses. The only excuse is that you're fucking lazy.
That's it.
Right? If you can't use a cell phone to build connections, like I get it. Back in the day when you didn't have cell phones, you had to fucking call your boy and say, hey man, meet me at this park at this time. And if you weren't there, you're just going to go back home, right? You can't, like right now I can text you and be like, why aren't you here? Like I'm here, right? So it was the same thing for businesses. Like a local Canadian business was not able to connect with a Indian supplier through a phone call. You had to either take that trip out to India and locally go and scout the business that you're looking for. Now you're researching on Google if you want a supplier you want wood supplier. All that is there for you, right? And it's that easy. So there's no excuses, man. And I feel like that's what it took for us to realize, like, okay, you and I were like, okay, there's literally nothing that we can say that is a disadvantage to us. So why don't we just do everything and what the hell else, man? Like, what do I say to this? Like, you know what I mean?
Start
like,
it. Just
start. Just start.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I'm glad that we did that, man. Like, I think we've come far. Obviously, we want to get to the 10, 15, 20 million, and I'll rightfully say we're not there yet, but I'm not worried, man. It's a small number for me. Like, you know, once we get to 10, it's going to be 100.
Exactly.
Right. So
you build one day at a time. You kind of execute on all your points. Right now we have stuff that we're looking to execute, right? Whether we're in development for software, one of our products, or we're in testing for software or one of our products, and we're kind of in development and testing for both our software-based businesses and our product-based businesses. So, but we're just looking to execute. So every day you have to do one thing that you didn't do yesterday.
Exactly.
And if you can do that one extra thing every day and execute on one piece every day, you are going to be successful.
Absolutely.
It's not that hard.
Exactly.
Right?
Do the work.
Do the work. Exactly. Exactly. That's all it is.
Do the fucking work, man. Dalton, man. Get me excited, man. Talk to me about something.
All right. How about, I guess we kind of talked about Banting. We talked a little bit about NOVAFX. We talked about the one that we share, Improved Naturals. There's still one that we haven't dropped yet. So we can talk about that if we want to scare some people here, or should we save this one for next episode? I think we should save it for next episode.
I think so too. I think so too.
We should, yeah.
Because I feel like we, you know, again, we don't even know what to call this podcast yet. You know, we've decided on chasing capital. I like chasing capital.
Yep.
Right?
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Trading it back. The only thing I kind of question about trading it back, what does that mean to our viewers? You know,
I always looked at it like, I originally had that podcast when I thought I'd be doing a podcast on my own and it would just be about stocks. And so it'd be like after a trade happened, I would break it down and kind of trade it back. Ooh. But it kind of applies to our businesses too, because hey, I've taken Banting this far.
Okay.
Here's where I am. But guess what? I'm going to trade it back. I'm going to show you how I got there. Okay. So I'm going to break back the steps that led me to get to where I am.
Trading it back.
Trading it back.
And what about chasing capital?
Chasing capital. That's exactly what
it stands for.
Exactly.
Why am I even asking?
What we're doing now? You know, we're starting
chasing capital.
We're starting businesses.
Yeah.
We're helping people, and we hope that if we can help enough people, we get paid at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
And so we are chasing capital, chasing extra money, and that's the one thing. I think that's why we work so well together. We each have unique skill sets. You're very strong in some areas where I'm weak, and I'm strong in other areas where you're weak. So when we get together, things tend to happen very, very quickly.
Yep.
And the one thing that I think is common that we both have is we both want more.
Exactly. And more importantly,
100,000 is not good. I was almost near 100,000. You were well over 100,000 at MTFX. That's not a lot.
No.
After tax, it's garbage.
I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong. It is okay to some if you're happy, you're happy, bro.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? But you're right. Like for us, no. especially with all the things that you want.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not even going to cover like
Right?
your car.
Yeah.
Like, that's not even going to cover your 2 trips a year, you know?
There you
Like,
go. There you go.
But no, I like that. And on top of that, like, I feel like, you know, I want to, with everything that you said, as far as like the reason why you're building these businesses is so that you can help people, is so that we can trade it back. That's what I want to make this podcast. Anybody that's listening, they're listening to guys that are in their late 20s that are also learning, right? Like, all this is new to us, but we're willing to do it because we have a lot of assets that we want to showcase, and then by that same token, learn what it is that we want to learn for the future in our next chapter, right?
That's it.
And yeah, man, like, let's leave the next 2 topics. Like, we have 2 more businesses that we want to talk about, and the one business is a serious topic. You know, that we're gonna break that down into, like, it's obviously cryptocurrency related. Let's just leave it out there.
It is.
So you're gonna be excited, Chris. And you know, we're gonna have to teach individuals on how to, you know, set up MetaMask accounts. Like, not a lot of people know that, man. This is like the internet back in 2000 or even 1995, when you didn't even know how to connect a dial-up. Like, remember learning that process? And just like that, like, opening a MetaMask account could be complicating for some people that have never done it.
Never been in the space before. Absolutely.
Right? And some of the things that you and I were going through, where MetaMask doesn't even support the network that we're under. So there's that added step, and how much more complicating could it get, right? Yep. So I'd love to cover all those topics and really talk about it. And who knows, if we have a great video, that's something that we can always add on there, right?
Yeah, that definitely would be a whole podcast for itself, because I think when you start talking about that stuff, you know, you're not just talking about you know, money and, you know, enriching people's lives or anything like that. You're talking about governance. You're talking about the economy. You're talking about the state of fiat currency. You're getting into this whole big, you know, conversations where you're going to need a podcast in itself. Yeah,
absolutely, man. And how do you feel, Chris?
I think that was solid.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next episode.
We're going to do this so we've dedicated, Dalton and I have dedicated the next 12 weeks to get this podcast really going, and for us to get comfortable in the space, talking to each other, maybe even inviting others that are like-minded individuals. Who knows, man? This could be an opportunity where you and I meet the other partners that we want to meet.
Could be. Yeah, we've had some trouble finding like-minded individuals who want to come in, who have great ideas, who just want to start things up super fast. I find like everybody has a excuse. Oh, I can't do this right now because I got soccer practice. Oh, I can't do this right now because so-and-so is sick. I can't do this right now because my car broke. Take the bus, take an Uber, you know, cancel that soccer practice, you know. How bad do you really want to do this? How bad do you really want to start your own business? How bad do you really want to make money for yourself? That's the only thing that really matters. There's nothing else that matters.
You're going to make the mistakes, but as long as you're learning from the mistakes, you can even repeat the mistake. That's completely up to you as a human being, but you have to understand that even making 100 mistakes is going to lead you to that success that you're looking for, right? Like, even this podcast, like, looking at this whole entire setup, I'm pretty sure you had things, you didn't have things figured out the first time, you know? Still don't. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's beautiful, man. I don't even want to say still don't for you, because I personally think it's beautiful.
It's nice.
I'll take a picture of my fucking podcast, and then you can tell me. You saw that picture?
Yeah.
But I think that's where we need to head to, man. Like, we have to figure out, and really quickly, since we're talking about finding the right partners, like, my first company, when I started NOVAFX, I gave away 35% of the company. But before that, I partnered up with 2 other gentlemen that were probably in their late 30s, closer to their 40s, and we were going to call it QFX, CUFX. And, you know, I'd go into their boardroom, everything was great. I was telling them exactly how to start a foreign exchange company, because I knew exactly everything that was required, from the back end, from the accounting, from the sales, from the foreign exchange payment systems, from the cash management system. You know, if you're accepting money from other clients in and out, you're going to need all those facilities to actually support your business. And they were taking this information down. They started the corporation without my name. So bro, like imagine giving out all this information and they've started an article of incorporation. They've incorporated this in Canada, whether they're 50-50 and it's like, where's my name? And they're like, don't worry, we're going to take your name. We're going to keep your name out because we're going to apply for banking. And then after we get the banking, we're going to put your name. How suspicious is that, right? Like, bro, would you stay or would you leave? Like, right?
Depends. It depends.
I from there, it was like a red flag. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this on my own.
Yeah.
And I still made the second mistake, which was I was looking for a partner, but I was like, why do I need a partner? That's the question that I didn't ask myself. And then because I didn't ask that question, I found the wrong partner again. So he comes and he says, I'm going to take 35% of the company. I'm going to help with whatever. And that kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. A week later, this guy's nowhere to be found. And whether if I need help with finding a software developer at the time, which I didn't know how to really determine the right software developer, what needed to be built, who I need to hire, how do I expense all the employees that I need? Like, how do I outsource employees in Philippines or in Sri Lanka or in India, where instead of paying $20 an hour here, I'm paying $4 an hour in the Philippines? And what is, like you see the advantage of that already, but what are some loopholes that I also have to take care of where I don't have to run into a lot of problems? Because when you have an employee in Canada, you're able to kind of manage it face to face, but when it's overseas, you got to make sure those Zoom calls, those FaceTime, and all that is inputted, right? So when I found out that I was doing 100% of the work, I'm like, why do I need this partner? So then it was another awkward situation where I had to make that phone call and say, I don't want you on the corporation anymore. And, he's like, what the hell? So that was like sort of a bridge that I burned, because from there, our relationship wasn't the same. But I knew that I took him in for the wrong reasons. So, I spent the whole entire year saying I can do this myself, even though there are a lot of bad moments where it's like, man, like it is nice to have somebody call you and say like, you got this, man, like, let's go. Like, this is what I did. And you're like, fuck, man, like he's doing that much. I got to step my shit up. Right.
Yeah.
And like, you can relate to that, bro. Sometimes you're like, yo, Shan's going hard. I got to step the shit up.
Yeah, for real.
And like, and vice versa, bro. Some of the weeks where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to take like maybe like 4 or 5 hours off. And then you're calling me back. You're like, yo, we have to do all of this stuff. I get back in my zone. Right. But I do have my days where it's like, man, I've worked fucking 10 hours for the last 6-7 days. I'm going to take 4 hours off. If I feel it's necessary, I'm going to do it. But the point I was getting at, bro, is a year later of doing this entire business myself, now I know exactly why I need partnership, right? If I can, look at that big ass spider right behind you, by the way.
I'm not going to look, man. Oh, it's
don't worry,
it's just a daddy long legs.
It's a daddy long legs.
Yeah,
but I saw him from there. So like if the camera notices me looking at the, but yeah, but no, bro, don't worry about that. The point I was getting to is like meeting you and having that solid partnership. I understand that it's because we're able to do the same thing, even though you can do it by yourself, we can do it together in 3 months versus having it take a year for you. Right. And when you're able to find partnerships like that, we can build businesses, man, conglomerates. Right. And it's just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, you have to find, it's all about the right partners and you just don't be, when you're looking for partners. And I had this issue with another business that I was trying to start and the partner just wasn't right. Mm-hmm. Don't be greedy. If you're entering into a partnership with somebody, with just one person, like everything we do together, it's
100.
50-50. Mm-hmm. Why would you ever approach someone for a partnership and try to pull a 70-30 or a 60-40 or 80-20 on someone? It's like, okay, if we bring somebody else in on one of our businesses, the equity will come out of equally of what we already own to fund that new person, right? Mm-hmm. It's got to be like that. You always have to approach things from what am I trying to say here? Mm-hmm. From a equitable perspective,
it has to make sense, right? Like,
you
but
can't
at
be
the
trying
same
to
time,
they can't be trying to outdo someone. Like, come in as a partner, and 50-50. And I think personally, why we get a lot done is because we are 50-50.
Exactly.
If it was 80-20, whoever has 20 is going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
doing that. You
Fair,
do that.
fair.
You're 80%, right? But when it's 50-50, it's like, okay, we each have ownership. If you can't do it, I'll find a way to do it.
Exactly. And I feel like that's because the partnership and the businesses that we've started, we've equally said we're going to put half of the money down and half of the time.
Yep.
And we're going to share that 50-50, right?
Yep.
But there are instances, for example, let's say in a year, we've got a well-established business and we are still looking for partnerships, but we don't necessarily need to give away 35%. Don't you think giving away 10% at that point and only expecting the responsibility of that 10%, wouldn't that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And it's like, I get it. Like I wouldn't, and I'm going to be very frank with you. You're right. If you came to me with improved naturals and you're like 30-70, I would have been like, fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I would have been like, yeah, like that. And the only reason is because I knew how much time we'd both have to put in. And I was like, man, and you didn't even do that, first of all, but 50-50 sounded right. And we're like, the money made sense for us. We're like, here's how much we're going to be spending for launch. It was a little more, but obviously it was
the right thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I would have never figured it out if not for bringing you on. I would have brought some other product and it would have not looked anywhere near as nice as it should have. And
Exactly.
it would have been fucked, let's be honest.
And that's why I was glad, because when I saw you had everything figured out. Like the smell, I remember even my girlfriend trying it and she smelled it. She put it all over her body, loved it, took pictures, and she like, look how beautiful it looks. And would be like, I want Dalton to make me a full jar. And I'm like, I don't think you could do that. Like, I know you can, but I'm not going to message you and ask you for a full jar this big, bro. Cause she finished that in 3 days. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we'll just, I'll buy them for you, cause I wanted to support my own business at the end of the day. Right. So the point where I'm getting at to is when you did that and then you started to focus on, okay, now I need to find an actual cream jar. I got to label it. I know what to write on it, but I don't want to do any of that. You're like, this is not where I'm like, there's no interest. And I saw that. You're like, man, like, I can't believe I have to spend so many hours looking at the right jar. But I'm like, I love doing that. I remember spending the first day when you told me, you're like, we need to find jars, like first 4 hours just going through pages after pages after pages, nothing. And we talked about Alibaba, and luckily you met a wonderful lady, which we thought was a man. Her name is Harry.
Yep.
Harry from Guangdong, is it?
Something like that. Something like that. Somewhere in China.
Guangdong Wholesales. And, from there, like she took a few of our pictures of the jar example we had, and she came back with a beautiful, what I think, and I've gotten compliments, bro, like
it's amazing.
From actual females. It's beautiful.
It's better than
font.
half the stuff that you find in
we should have
Sephora.
brought one of the jars,
Yeah,
but we'll bring it for the next show and we'll talk about it for like maybe a 5-minute segment so we can add it on here.
And that was when we realized that everybody in Sephora is cheaping out big time. Everybody is cheaping out. They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. It's funny. It's like you start to develop stuff and get into the market and you realize, man, these guys, this is the cheapest product that we could have got.
Exactly.
Like, and that's what they're using, and they're priced higher than us.
And you're spending like $45 for it, right?
Crazy.
Especially after doing the research and you're telling me about the research and how much those products actually cost, and you're getting it for the like literally pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
And then they're just multiplying by 25, 30, right? So
Crooks, yeah.
Crooks. But that's the podcast for today. It's Thursday, July 15th, 2021. Our first official podcast, either chasing capital, trading it back. Leave your comments below, whether you like that or you hate both of the names. We won't get offended.
Doesn't matter what you think. We don't care.
I was going to say that, but thanks. That's facts.
100.
Pursuing capital.